Welcome to another edition of Up Close. My name is Taba Mutekua. Up Close is a daily current affairs show that profiles men and women making waves in their industries and gives newsmakers a human face. The program also gives newsmakers a platform where they can share their stories, their vision, and even tackle uneasy concerns without scorn or vilification. Stay tuned for the next half hour as we talk to Shaldon Kopman, one of South Africa's fashion industry gurus. Shaldon Kopman is the director and founder of the men's brand Naked Ape. His affair with fashion began in the early 1990s when he worked in New York and Milan and Paris as a fashion director and stylist, and later returned home to take over the desired position of fashion editor at Elle magazine. Shaldon has also worked as fashion editor for Soccer Life and Y magazine, and back in 2006, his meticulous attention to detail and courageous spirit won him the GQ Best Dressed Man Award. Shaldon now graces us, and he's dressed by himself, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Well, why are you laughing at the GQ? 2006 is not so long ago.
Yeah. It's a mouthful, it's a mouthful.
Sheldon, thank you for making the time to join us here at Up Close.
Thanks for the invite, thank you.
Yeah, and I was like, Sheldon, who? I was like, I know him.
From way back then.
I know him from way back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, we go way back. That was what, late 90s?
You were 1999.
1999, yeah. And you were a stylist on trying something new in the industry in terms of music programs.
Yeah.
It's called Fry Rush Hour. I remember you pulling me aside and you're like, what's going on with your body? And I'm like, what, Sheldon?
Doesn't sound like me.
No, it was you, Sheldon. I will never forget that. And you're like, you're putting on weight, and I'm crying.
No,
I was still a baby.
How are you? It was part of the development. I'm very well, thank you, very well. It's been an interesting journey,
yes,
thus far. Challenging, most of it. But that's what we've got to do to persevere,
Sheldon, how did it all start? I mean, the time I met you, you'd just come back from New York. You were the hip-in stylist. But when did it start? When did you decide that fashion is what I want to do?
You don't ever decide these things. It's like back in the day, like growing up at school, that was never on the cards. Academics was all it was, and you kind of dress your friends when you go out to a party. You're swapping wardrobe because that's all you could afford to do, to try and look fresh every single week. And it came kind of naturally. And then later on, post-school, tried the chemical engineering thing, didn't last all of 3 weeks, and realized that all I want to do is really just travel. And somebody had approached me and said, hey, you know what, actually, you'd make a good model. And I was like, really? Fine, go see this agency. Saw the agency, did a test shoot, and kind of liked it. But then thought I'm going to be this, overnight success. Of course, you all do. Yes. And then reality kicked in. So I went out to Cape Town, came back to Johannesburg, and I said, no, okay, fine. I'm going to give this career about 3 years just to see what goes on here, and what do I need to do in order for me to, to conquer it. It didn't quite work out that way, but it did give me an opportunity to travel, which was great. You're always relying on somebody else's opinion or somebody else to decide if they like your look or if they don't like your look. As a model, you're never somebody who, no matter how hard you work at it, you've just got to wait. It's a waiting game, and I'm not a waiting kind of person. So,
okay, let's unpack that character. Let's go way back. Let's go way back to, where did you grow up, Sheldon?
2 places.
Okay,
first place was Pietermaritzburg. That's where I was born.
I went to school.
I'm from Sleepy Hollow, that's my home, my hood, Jacaranda Road.
Okay.
And my mom came up to Johannesburg in pursuit of a brighter future, so better prospects.
How long were you in Pietermaritzburg for?
I left at the age of 9.
Okay.
And then came up to Johannesburg, and we pretty much lived all over southern townships, you know, from Kliptown, Klipspruit, all the way through to Grasmere.
Pietermaritzburg is a very intimate community. You know, it's small. How was
Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah, how was that experience of moving to the big city?
Look, Pietermaritzburg was absolutely fantastic. Like, you know, you got to ride your bicycle almost anywhere you wanted to go, and there was nature. There was no one for anything. You'd find us during the holidays, even sometimes during school, up in the orchard or in the neighbor's yard eating fruit. You know, whatever fruit season it was, there we were. There was never like, okay, I'm hungry, let me go home for something to eat. We were always out, and there was no need for it. We were self-taught. You know, we taught ourselves to swim, all kinds of things. So it was really cool.
And
like you said, it was tightly knit
yes.
societies. Small town mentality, wonderful, you know. Getting to Johannesburg was it was like a complete culture shock, you know. The first weekend I arrived, a gentleman by the name of Garth Lapierre, who was courting my mom at the time, took me off to Orlando Stadium.
Okay.
The old Orlando Stadium, the original.
The original,
and I'd never seen so many people ever, like in one place, and it was like overwhelming for a soccer match. It was fantastic, you know. Spent a lot of time in Soweto back then, because there was a lot of friends of mom out there, and people like Koki Tubu to go to Shabin, seeing people dressed up to the nines. It was beautiful, you know. That was my first impression of Johannesburg, is that people dress exceptionally well. And you must know, coming from a segregated environment, you know, we weren't very exposed to black people or white people, you know. It was, you come from a kind of colored township, and that's what you were exposed to. So coming to Johannesburg, everything was black and beautiful. So it was nice. It was a fantastic eye-opener, and I think that's also had a lot of influence on me when it came to actually understanding that appearance means everything. You know?
And so that's where it starts. You start to see people dressing up, and now you want to emulate that. You want to fit in. What was it?
I don't think it was so much of an emulation, but more of appreciation. You know, and how people could make do with the budgets that they had available to them. But also remembering, in those days, I mean, we were sanctioned, right? We did not have a lot available to us. You know, I remember going to friends like Cedric Miller and Adrian and sitting down with these guys, and they had stacks of GQ magazines, like from all over the world. And all you do is just marvel at what was going on fashion-wise in these magazines, and trying to emulate that was an absolute task of note. So it was interesting shopping back then, you know. It was interesting to know that at that particular time as well, men, I'll say men, but it was more like guys, you know, high school kids, really took care of their appearances. It was fantastic.
Let's hold it there. I want to know how you were able to even afford to do that back then. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll continue having a conversation with Shaldon Kopman. We would greatly appreciate any suggestions or comments that you have about the show. My Twitter handle is @Sepi. Stay with us. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back. We're getting up close with Shaldon Kopman, one of South Africa's fashion gurus. Shaldon, let's go back to that time where you starting to realize there's a lot going on in terms of fashion. You're still in high school. How were you able to afford, you know, dressing yourself up, dressing your friends up?
Affordability, I don't even think was afforded. It was more, you know, what you have. I mean, shopping was like a once a year kind of thing.
Yeah,
and that
of course,
was
Christmas. Exactly.
And I'll never forget the first time, I think, when I arrived in Johannesburg at the age of 9, that particular December, my mom took me out shopping, and wow, all these lovely things I bought, but I mean, the stuff fell to pieces within days, you know. So cheap wasn't
stuff,
necessarily nice. And from that day onwards, I was like, okay, I'd rather wait. And, you know, I'd often want certain things and nagger for certain things, but it wasn't affordable. So you're forced to humble yourself, of course, and you appreciate even more when you find yourself in a situation like that. And you're always looking out for sales. Guys were always swapping clothes. This week
So not being able to afford them created a greater appreciation for
yeah,
this
you
stuff.
get creative with it.
Yeah.
You get really creative with it. You know,
Okay.
you buy things that are a lot cheaper from flea markets and stuff like that, and then you do the alterations that are necessary in order for it to look right. So,
yeah, your appearance was very important there. But yet you wanted to go study chemical engineering. Why?
Well, I mean, I came from an academic background. You know,
Okay.
being at St. Barnabas, there wasn't very much the opportunity to get into the arts at all. You know, and you yourself don't understand that there's an artist side to you. There's there's more of a creative in you than anything else. So you excel academically, and then you get a bronze medal in the Science Expo, and then you think, okay, fine, let me pursue this.
Something I must
this is something quite cool. But then when reality kicks in and you realize, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life.
After 3 weeks of university.
No,
Shaldon, what really happened?
It was too controlled. The environment was too controlled. And I think it was, I really needed to explore. I felt that I needed to get out there more than anything else. And that was my mission, to get out there. And my first trip outside of African borders was to France, to Paris, which was a hell of a reality check,
Tell us about
hell of a reality check, expect
this is you now traveling as a model, of course.
As a model, yeah.
Okay,
going
tell us
there,
about
and
that.
I managed to secure an agency, PH1, out of Paris, and they had asked me to arrive in the month of, it was March, right? March, April that was the timeline I was given to arrive. I arrived in end of June, and they were simply like, dude, come back in September, right? We're going on holiday, right? It's European summer. See you. And I was gutted. I was like, no ways, man. You can't send me all the way back to South Africa.
And surely traveling,
an absolute fortune getting here.
Yes.
And so, look, luckily I had the accommodation was covered because I was seeing a girl that I'd met in South Africa who had actually invited me out. That's why I went to Paris. And she was cool people,
and she was also modeling in Paris at the time?
No. She was actually dancing at the Moulin Rouge.
Okay.
So she was busy, 7 days a week, 2 shows a day. It was impossible.
So is that what happened to the engineering degree? Is that what really happened? Did you meet somebody who opened up the arts world for you and you're like, no?
No, meeting somebody was a regular thing in my life back then. So as you're young, I mean, you discovering life and you're out there. So it was... being in Paris and not being able to speak the language, and now hunting, looking for a job.
3 months of summer.
Let me peel potatoes, let me wash dishes, let me do something.
Wow, Shaldon.
And it was no go. I've always been an extremely ambitious person. So, for me to, and it's something my mom taught me from a very young age, you must always appreciate people that help you. So I'd always find something to do. I'm not just going to come and sit in your home and do absolutely nothing. You'll come home to a sparkly clean home, So I called Mom and I was like, look, this is the situation. You need to sell my little Beetle. I need the money. I'm going to be here, and I want to go out to Amsterdam, and I'd like to go out to Germany and, try and see some other agencies and hopefully get a couple of gigs here.
So it ended up being a summer of trying to hunt for work and agencies. Yeah.
But the eye opener of it all was the fact that, in Paris you can get something, it's called carte d'orange, which is like an orange card that allows you on the subway and buses for an entire month, and you pay X amount of money for it. Which was great, and that's what I would buy. I mean, I'd spend days in the Louvre, for example. I'd bought a ticket for the Louvre, and I'd go in and out of the Louvre for like 5-6 days. In hindsight,
what would you say that was what you took from this? Because it seems like it ended up being, in terms of culturally, you come from a very secluded, community in South Africa, and now it broadened you up.
I think what I took away from it all was just the fact that, I really, really appreciated what I was exposed to. Like, I would pick a point on the subway map and just find myself there, right? And look around and really look at art, look at buildings, look at structure, architecture, fashion, go into certain stores and try on a couple of things, feel fabric, feel texture. Those kind of things really turned me on, you know. And it was great because I was in a fashion capital, so that was what I'd learned.
It was the education that you needed. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, take us, before we go to the break, to how then do you become fairly successful going from Milan to New York? How did you get to that point? What was it? What is it like?
Yeah, I think like basically when I got back from Paris into South Africa, you know, I realized that there is something in me that has like uber ambition. I can do it if I need to do it. And my modeling career at that particular time took a nice turn in South Africa.
Fantastic,
you know, I found my next destination was Istanbul, of all places.
Nice.
You know, $200 in my pocket and never been to this place. And it was actually a very successful career in Istanbul. You know, 5 months after that, I found myself back home, and that was it. You know, it was just roller coaster of events, and then went out to Vienna, met my managing agent at the time, who was Neil Vincent. I managed to find a managing agent, and New York was the next stop.
Shaldon, let's hold it there. We're going to take a quick break, then we'll continue with Shaldon. I want to know, how does a model actually turn this into a profession that lasts a lifetime to end up being the fashion editor of Elle magazine? Continue with Shaldon Kopman after the break. Comment, suggestions about the show, my Twitter handle at Sepi Mutsuku. Stay with us. Welcome back to Up Close as we wrap up our conversation with Shaldon. Shaldon, I'm interested, you know, I know a lot of people who've gone into modeling, and there's that thing that happens early on where everybody's sending you on different jobs. There's a lot of money coming in, and then it disappears. You get to that age where it stops happening, and a lot of people have a difficulty turning that modeling career into something that's going to sustain them in the future. You managed to do just that. How did you do that?
Well, I wouldn't say that my modeling career was that prosperous. And also,
five months in Istanbul, some time in France, some time in New York.
It's a hustle. It's a hustle.
In South African terms, and especially back then, Shaldon, you have to acknowledge that was quite something.
No, it's an achievement, but it was a hustle, right? You must understand it wasn't lavish, and it wasn't as glamorous as what people perceive it to be.
Of course.
Right? It was, okay, I'm going to be eating soup and bread once a day for the next 2 weeks kind of thing.
Which is ideal to keep your body
to keep it right.
in the model shape.
But then, yeah, it all turned around in New York. I quit modeling at like the age of 23, 24, you know, in pursuit of a styling career.
What happened in New York? What did you see?
Well, you know, I had a fantastic, and I'll still always consider one of my favorite mentors, you know, who was Beth Ann Hardison, who had taken me on. And at the time, she had Tyson Beckford and a whole bunch of other celebrity-type models on her books. And what she had asked me, like, she's like, why are you here? What are you here to do in New York? What are you hoping to achieve? And it was a simple answer for me. It was, look, I'm hoping to learn a lot, and I'm hoping to understand confidence on a different level. And I think those words kind of resonated with her, and she kind of took me under her wing and, you know, showed me a couple of things. You know, she's like, there's more to you than just modeling. I mean, I went to go see all the magazines. I mean, one booking every 2 weeks or a month sometimes. Managed to get a gig at the bar thanks to her, which was fresh at the time. So it was this kind of celebrity kind of hangout spot where everybody was quite cool, you know, and easy and relaxed.
Why did you decide to come back home?
Because it's home. You know, like I said to Beth Ann, I'm here to learn and understand what makes this place, you know, what drives New York. And from that particular time, spending that time with her and her actually saying, you know, there's something else for you in this industry. You have a very good eye. You have a very good eye. I think the turning point was when I did a Diana Ross video. I played a lead with Diana Ross in a video. And there was these acting agents that came up to me from LA saying, you know, I'd like to bring you to LA, this, that, and the other. And I was absolutely not interested whatsoever.
You wanted to go back home.
I didn't like the attention, to be quite honest.
Okay.
You know, I didn't, you know, in an industry like you there's people that seek fame for various different reasons, right? You've got to love it. You've got to like to be seen on television.
True that.
You've got to like to be seen and acknowledged in tabloids. You know, you've got to love yourself on a different level for all of that, you know? It's difficult being a celebrity on that kind of platform. But also there was just too many eyes at the time. And I didn't appreciate it as much as I'd want to possibly build celebrities, you know, or help be behind the scenes and actually help, you know, make a difference to a picture or something. And I'd learned so much from modeling, and I'd learned so much from being in those environments that I understood what creative direction was all about, art direction, you know, picture editing. I understood lighting to a certain degree because I'd always be speaking to photographers and saying, hey, like, what are you doing there, kind of thing.
Sheldon, we've got 3 minutes left. I mean, no, I appreciate what you were saying. I mean, you're able to make a very difficult choice of profession. You're able to make it successful. What would you say to another young person out there who started off just like you, they're modeling and they're starting to see that I like this industry, but I don't think I want to be that person who must survive on soup and bread every day.
I think like it's, you know, keep on keeping on. You know, you've been put into various different environments, whether you are there as a janitor or whatever it might be, right? There's lots of things that you can absorb that are going on around you, right? And that's constantly, you keep your eyes open and your ears to the ground. You will always find something, and keep your head to the sky, you know? So there's hope for everybody, you know, but you must be able to allow yourself to go beyond your peripheral. You must see and allow yourself to interact. And always, you know, keep on keeping on. As I say, I think everybody's journey is different in life, you know. I am not going to say to you, yeah, I've made it, I'm up there. No, absolutely not.
Well, you know, you have worked as an arts director, you've
beginning.
worked as a stylist on some of the best TV programs locally, you've been a fashion editor, and now you've got your own line, Naked Ape. So, you know, we celebrating you right now. But beyond that, I want to know, when I met you a long time ago, you were dating a very nice lady. What happened to that relationship?
Oh, it continued.
It continued.
She's the only one that has managed to contain me.
Any children since then?
Yep, 2 kids.
Wow,
4
Sheldon.
and 8 years old. Yeah, very blessed. Thank you, God.
And your wife was also a model?
She also quit at a young age. You know, she wanted to start a family and also continue studying. And
how important would you say that is?
I think it's important for
grounded you a lot.
longevity. You know, it's you know, we're blessed to have a family and appreciate it every single excess time that I have. You know, is homeward bound to spend time with them, and it's interesting being a parent because you know you somehow become a lot more responsible as well. Because it's just easier to be more responsible, right?
When you've
it's
got
easier
children.
to be able to transfer that kind of responsibility into your kids as well.
Yeah.
I mean, kids of this modern day living is they have so many challenges in their path. You know, there's what they're doing at the age of 8 years old is what we were doing in like high school. Kind
Any
of thing.
vices that have stayed with you since the heydays of modeling?
There'll always
Nightclub?
be vices.
Going out?
Not nightclubs, not nightclubs. There'll always be vices. I really appreciate people. I enjoy hanging out, you know. But like hanging out as a fly on the wall as opposed to interacting sometimes. I really, people inspire me. I'm inspired by environments. I'm inspired by South Africa. I'm inspired by Joburg. I'm inspired by the creativity we have in our city, you know. And I think that is what you find me observing most of the time. And this is what actually spurs me on.
So you still love going out and hanging out there. Sheldon, I have to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for making the time, and it's been lovely seeing you again. That's how we wrap up today's edition of Up Close. Catch us same time, weekdays on SABC News, DSTV Channel 4. And you can catch some of our favorite episodes on our website, youtube.com/SABC News. Suggestions, comments, matter to handle at Sepi Mutsikua. Till next time, bye-bye.